part of this conversation and to share the platform with such esteemed colleagues. I want to honor Brother Denniston for his incredible work and for convening us so that we can have this conversation. This morning we began a conversation about HIV and AIDS, and so a lot of what I would say has already been said, so I want to come at it a little bit differently, if I might. I believe that AIDS still remains the number one health crisis issue among the Black family. You ask, why is that so? Why are we dealing with this disease? And there were some reasons offered in the earlier sessions that I want to come back and take a look at. But I believe at the core of this, we have simply lost our way. We've lost our consciousness about who we are and where we come from. So we have become, in a sense, alienated from ourselves. And in that alienation, we are open and we are prey for many illnesses and many misperceptions around who we are as we allow others to define who they believe us to be. So today I want to talk about the role that the church plays in this. I want to talk about the role that theology plays in how we are taught and instructed and how that impacts how we see AIDS. AIDS is destroying our communities. We do not want to talk about sexuality. We do not want to talk about our distrust of gay people in our communities. We do not want to talk about these hard issues, but yet they're staring us in the face. Now, I've been here a couple of days and I have not heard anybody talk about how homophobic we are. That's right. I think that's a place that we have to go, because these are our brothers and sisters who are impacted, regardless of what we believe in terms of sexuality, what the Bible says about that. The Bible also said that we should not have we should have slavery. And we've been able to move through that, so our theology must catch up with us. I'm also concerned because the theology supports the victimization of women. And we talked earlier about the role that the preachers play when Susan was here. Quite frankly, preachers are very afraid to step out. I'm a preacher. My other profession is as a preacher. And when I talk to my colleagues, they do not want to discuss the issue of sexuality. We must force them to discuss the issue of sexuality. It is on us to do that. They're not going to do it on their own. Also, the theology lifts women in a way that keeps them submissive and under the control of men. So they have no ability, in many of these instances, to negotiate sex in a way that is an equal way. So we have to find different ways to teach theology. We have to find different ways to create images that embrace women in the theology that we teach. Do y'all understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
We must also hold our male ministers accountable for their chauvinistic ways. Now, I really want to talk about this because I am a pastor.
Stay right there.
All right?
Stay right
And
there.
because we, as women, Susan again talked about how we worship our ministers. That has to be dealt with. Because we are continuing to perpetuate how we are treated. And the way we get treated affects our ability to empower ourselves to be responsible to ourselves for our own well-being. For our own well-being. So AIDS is destroying our families, it's destroying the cruxes of who we are, and I think these are places that we can control. We don't need help from the white man. We do not need help from anybody else but ourselves to look at the behaviors that we have about how we're interacting with each other. So I ask that we are much more compassionate with each other. I ask that we're more gentle with each other. These are very basic things. And as you know, AIDS is killing women in America. As you know, AIDS is destroying women on the continent of Africa. There are a number of things that we can do. There's legislation that we can do. How many of you know your HIV status? I'm in an informed group, an enlightened group. How many do not know your status? You don't have to raise your hand. Oh, all right. Well, we're going to help you with that. The point that I want to go back and make, there are a couple of things. We must look at our theology. We must, men, and I'm holding the pastors responsible a little bit here. We must look at our ways that we interact with women and the expectations and the theology that we teach. When you go to Minister City Council for domestic violence, you know what the minister says to you? What did you do? What did you do to cause him to hit you upside the head? It's your fault. That's unacceptable. That's unacceptable. So we've got national strategies for domestic AIDS. We've got global strategies for global AIDS. And my brothers and my sisters, these things are linked. There should not be this division between the domestic and global activists. We should not be fighting for pots of money. We have to remind our legislators that there is enough, and there must be enough for us. And black women, I'm really sad that we're not outraged. I'm really sad that we're not outraged because we are not being cared for in this pandemic. And it is up to us to lift up our voices. So we need legislation, we need more money to support our programs, and we quite frankly need us to change our attitudes about the people who look like me and you, that are left out, have no homes sometimes, can't get the treatment that they need, and have been put out because families will not have them. This is tearing our communities apart, and it is a way that we have to answer to our Creator, whomever that Creator is, on what we do down here. And I believe the Creator is calling us to a much more higher calling in how we treat each other.